basically I found my way here. I wanted to talk about building science basically and use this example of my own house to talk about passive features and to talk about low carbon and healthy. So I have expertise in all of these areas and I wanted to bring that together, and it's not the first house I designed, but it put this together. Do we hear everything now? Good. Okay, so back in 2006, I was 57 years old and had some life-changing things happen to me. My kids all left home, my wife took off to travel the world, and I was left looking at what's the rest of my life going to look like. So what I did at that particular time, we had a cottage in Wasaga Beach right on the bay with a beautiful view of Blue Mountain, and we'd raised our family there as a 7-bedroom beach house that was wonderful at the time, but it was way too much for what I needed. And I also had my office in the bottom right corner here, which is in Guelph. That's the prominent office that I had there for many, many years, and raised my family there as well. And then I also had a residence in Guelph as well that I also designed. And it just seemed that all those things were redundant, and the property that I used the least was the beach house. So I decided, well, I should do something a little bit different. And it wasn't as enjoyable to me once the kids left home and the wife went with them. So what I looked at as a primary driver of that was the location of it. So being in Wasaga Beach, I was accustomed to travel from Guelph to Wasaga on a regular basis, almost every week, and looked at the settlement of the family, which was clustered around Barrie, Midland, Wasaga Beach, and then some in Toronto. And my son, who's also an architect, is in Vancouver, so that wasn't on the map here at all. So making that trip, we were looking for a very quiet place, and this centered the area around Mulmur. And we were looking for compatible neighbors. We didn't have compatible neighbors any longer at the beach. It was like Brampton on the beach, they say. Very different than what I looked at being from Northern Ontario and a rural area. I was looking for a cabin in the bush sort of thing. So what we looked at is we looked at the different area. There were a number of things that we were looking for in a piece of property, and I documented all of those and said, well, where is it going to be and what features is it going to have, how big is it, and that type of thing. We didn't want a house on there, so we wanted to build our own. And so what we did was we wanted something without a house on it at least. It certainly had to be wooded. We wanted a lot of space, and it would be nice if it was near a preserve area or protected area. It happened to have a building on it, which is in the bottom left, and it was a crushed Quonset hut that was brought down by the snow, and that was a useless building. So anyway, I had them take that out as part of the deal. But being so meticulous that what I listed in all of my requests for a location and a piece of property, we went to the second property and we found the one that was just the dream property for us. It had all of those features except for being on the water, basically. And we are on a small creek. So what we did is we bought the property, closed the property, and rebuilt the shop, I guess you'd call it. And so the foundations were there. We used it. We discovered during the process, we knew it was a grow-op in the vicinity, and we discovered there was a basement under the shop. So we have an air raid shelter for that now, I guess you could say. So we built on top of that and used that as a launch point for the rest of it. So we lived on the land. We wanted to experience the property, look at the land. We had some improvements. Being a grow-op, they had power to the site. It wasn't paid for at the time. But they had a transformer, and they had the structure, and they didn't have a road into the property. They came in off on an open road. So we had to build a lane into the property, a 600-meter lane. And so we redid the shop, and then we started adding things on. So we built a zip line for the kids. It happened to be a place where we bring all the family. I have 4 kids. My partner has 2 kids. So we have a lot of kids and 10 grandkids. And so then we started making other improvements, put on trails. We managed to get managed forests on the property to pay a fortune of the taxes for it as well. And I built a labyrinth, and we built a pond. The pond was really well built. Tumber Properties, if anybody knows them, is a really good well driller out of the Orangeville area, and he designed and built this pond for us, which was meant for swimming primarily. So it's basically it's a very sandy and gravelly area, so we couldn't build a natural pond there. So it has a rubber liner and works very well with everything there. We enjoyed it a lot. So these were the improvements we started to make on the property. And then looking at the property here, I think this works. Okay, so we're coming in at the top of the property. North is to the left of this map. So down here was the entrance to the property. It's a dead-end road. The road of way continues down here, but there's a creek at the bottom of this, and there's no development beyond that, so it's a bit of a dead-end road. So this is the lane that we built, meanders through the woods, and came down to where the shop was, is over here. The pond we built over here. The cabin that was on the property was back in this area, and there was a well on the property just around here. And the transformer was here as well. So we were all set up for a building site here. It was wooded in this particular area, and we opened it up so we could find a spot to have the house built, and looked at that area. Oops, we went too fast. So this area, what I did was I used my biogeometry, and we dowsed a particular energy spot for the house that became the center of the house. And that is where we built around. So the house was really built around that energy spot. And you'll see that on the interior of the house when we get to that point. So I'll just walk through. This isn't a design presentation so much as to talk about the passive features of it. But all of this has to do with the size of the house and everything. So this is the cluster of buildings on the property now. So this is the built form. So there's the shop up here in a close-up view. This is the house that we built. Here's the pond. So we're kind of in between this. And this whole cluster of buildings is where we hang out for most of the time when we're not doing the skiing or cross-country, any of the outdoor activities. We really wanted to be here, and we wanted to have a relationship with the woods and everything else that's on the property. So it's basically a place to launch our outdoor activities. So as part of this, we did a design program which went on for 30 or more pages of all the wishes we had to do with the house, the wishes and the wants and the needs. And we came up with a design. We developed a design that was specifically designed for us and for this property. So it certainly had a lot to do with our relationship with the pond and with the shop, which were all handy in this site. So light was very important to us. The whole aspect of having everything accessible. We wanted Agent's Place. We wanted low maintenance. We wanted it very energy efficient, of course, and comfortable for us and for the family. So it's built for entertaining as well. So coming to this is a plan of the house as it worked out, and the entrance to the house is here. So it's the same orientation. With north being mostly to the left. So this is the main entrance. We would come in through the garage. So there's the garage across the top here. I'll just walk you through this briefly. This is a link between the house and the garage, which is a three-season room, you could say, semi-heated. And that's a mud room. That's where we all collect because we're meant to be outdoors. We have our indoor-outdoor clothes. And then you can step into the conditioned house, which is this. It's less than 1,000 square feet. And you come into this, so as our regular trek would be, we'd come in from the garden or from the garage into an interior entrance. We'd put our groceries in here and this type of thing. We also have a bathroom just inside here, so the bathroom is over here. And then the rest of it is a great room, which is here. It's a two-story space. And then there's a den at the top of this, and the room where we spend most of the time, particularly in the summer, again, is a three-season room, and that's called the sun room or the Skoka room, if you will. It's a convertible room that goes from porched room to closed-in room with glass in it. And then it's just a single bedroom house. It's designed not to have kids anymore. So it's basically a couple's house. So it's a one bedroom, and that's how we live. We do have a guest cabin that's used on occasion, but we also have lots of camping sites on the property. So I'm going to just walk through the house and talk about some of the features as we go through this. So coming through the garage, this is how it looks on the outside. The garage is situated so we have a south-facing slope on the roof that we will add a PV panel on primarily to charge the car, the EV car that we have. We also have it sloped away from the driveway so you don't get any piles of snow in front of the garage doors. We never have to shovel that. Basically the snow all goes in the other direction and the snowblower takes it away from the front. We also had it high enough. We have a 1985, my dad's camper van, and we can open that inside the garage as well. So we raised the bottom cord of the trusses so we could raise it and dry it out after our camping trip. So it's all specifically designed for that use, and even part of it I could get the tractor in there because the roll bar had to fit underneath that. So the garage is an important part. It's a generous room. This is the outside. I guess I'm walking around the outside of the house here first. So this is the courtyard, which goes between the house on the left and the garage on the right. And that's where the snow comes into this area. So we have this area. We also have an outdoor shower there that's given some privacy anyway, with the courtyard anyway. And then we have a drying area. And on the right of that, on the left-hand side, you'll see the wood storage, because we primarily heat with wood in this particular case when we're there. So it's a firewood processing area. So the main entry of the house for guests and visitors would be through this door, which goes into the mudroom as well. And on the right is over here is the sunroom, and you go through this door and into the house from there. So it's a sheltered entrance. We have overhangs on the south side. We have a 3-foot overhang. On the rest of the house, we have a 4-foot overhang, which is very handy because I'll get into some discussion about this, but we have a rock bed around the house, which is the insulated part of it. And I'll go into the details of that in a few minutes. So from here, we go to the interior. This is the mudroom on this side. So this is looking out toward the garage. This is looking in the other direction. And this is just inside the door here. So this door takes us into the house itself. And going too fast. Here we are. So the kitchen is on the right here at the bottom, and the entrance and you get a view of the living room just through here at the entrance. And then if you turn left, you go into the washroom area. And I'll get into the details of the washroom in a couple of minutes as well. So this activity area is a very small area, but it's part of the conditioned house. So as I mentioned, the heated area of the house is 930 square feet, and we have 2 areas that are partly conditioned, you could say. So this is one of those conditioned rooms, the mudroom, and then the sunroom, where we have windows on 3 sides of it. And the 4th side of it is this side here, which is the doors into the kitchen, basically from there in the open area. So this is an area, like I say, that we use 3 seasons of the year. It can be heated for large events, and we've had up to 25 people there in family events through the whole house in a fairly small space. And so it has great views, and we use a lot of that in there. So it's a screened porch. We wanted to use the Veta windows there, but unfortunately they don't have a casement window that would swing out. And if we had the tilt and turn windows, we wouldn't have any space inside this sunroom. So we elected to go with inline windows, so the triple glazed inline windows, but because of the amount of glass in this area, it couldn't be very well heated. This is the washroom. The washroom has 3 separate rooms. So basically the toilet is in one room with its own window. The shower is in another room, which is down here, and it has its own window. So for ventilation, we open the window in the shower when we're using it, and we have direct ventilation to the outside in a passive way. So we're not relying on fans or anything like that to handle the moist air as you're having a shower. And you can sing outside if you want. And then the rest of this area is an open area, which is a dressing area as well. And this is the sink and the vanity. And then one closet that's there. And then this is open actually with ice glass to the living room itself. So we have that daylight coming in. The kitchen is very large. We have a lot of people there. We can have 4 cooks in there at one time. We have 4 workstations. And we have an induction stove again, and all the appliances that you'd need in a modern home. And certainly have used the outside. So every room has natural light in it, even the hallways. So the living room is the open space where we spend a lot of time. It's all convertible, so the furniture is all movable. We can open it all up and have a lot of people in there, and we can close it up when there's just the 2 of us. The feature of the house really is this cockle oven, and I have a special slide to talk about this and the construction of that, but that's the primary heat source that we have in the house. We have 45 acres of free fuel, and I need some exercise, so we do a lot of work in terms of bringing the wood in. We're not chopping any live trees, we're using dead fall trees and repurposing those for fuel and splitting it up. So we have this space, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as well as far as the open space here. But these windows open, and these are all Veta windows in the house as well. So the other two parts of the house, the bedroom is on the left on the top there and the bottom left, and then on the right is the den, which is open to the living room. So between the living room, the mudroom, or the sunroom, and the den, we have a lot of space to entertain. So getting to the construction side of things, so we used a shallow foundation. I mentioned before the soil conditions are very much sand and gravel. So it was a perfect substrate to put a shallow slab on. So the deepest we go is 18 inches. So we have 9 inches of insulation underneath to build on that flat raft. So you see a thickening of the raft around the outside. So this is a section at the wall. And this is the iso slab system made out of Quebec. And so we just poured concrete into that. It's carbon reduction in the use of concrete. So we have very little concrete in this particular design. And it's very effective and provides a warm floor to it. The exterior, they told us we only had to put insulation 4 feet on the outside because you'd have heat loss through the slab here that would prevent the frost from coming underneath. And I told them that's not good enough for me. I wanted to assume that the power goes out, and we don't want to have any heat loss to the ground outside just to keep the place level. So we put it out 8 feet, so we have a curtain of 8 feet of insulation to the exterior. So that worked really well. For the primary framing of the house, there were 4 posts on the inside, 8 by 8 pine posts on the inside, and that's the only load bearing. None of the interior walls are load bearing, but all of the exterior walls are load bearing. And so it's all dimension framed lumber. We didn't use any other framing for that. Except for the trusses in the shop, or in the garage rather. And for the exterior walls, I don't want to go into a lot of detail with this, but this is basically a light clay straw. It's, as Ben had mentioned, it's influenced by the EcoNest, Paula Baker-Laporte's system. So it's between smart framing, 2 by 6s at 24 inches on center. We packed light clay and straw mixture, packed it into that, formed it with the plywood, and left it dried once it was formed, and you work the form up all the way to the top, which is a 10-foot high wall. And then that sat there for 2 months to dry. And in the process, it had some seed in it and started to grow some grass and that type of thing. We didn't have to mow this, we just let it die. So that we waited before we could start more of the construction from that point, because we also had to have it waterproofed at the roof level as well. So that took some time for us to do some other work. So then on the outside of that, this is where we get to Trudy's area, where we have Rockwell insulation. We have 9 inches of insulation in the exterior of the comfort board. And we didn't want to penetrate. Well, on the inside of that, I can just see the Intel 475 smart air barrier on the exterior of the light clay straw. So that's our air barrier that goes all the way up. And on the inside of that, we had horizontal 2x4s at 4-foot centers. And then we had insulation, 9 inches of insulation, and we had about 9.25-inch screws that go all the way through that from the outside to the inside. And we put strapping, horizontal and vertical, on the exterior over the 9 inches of insulation. And that formed our wall. And then we had the next slide is the siding. So we have rough barn boards and battens on that. So we also used 1x6 for the soffit material. So it's all natural materials for that. The inside, we don't have a speck of drywall in this whole house. So it's all used as plywood, and we painted that. So the interior walls are open studs. I don't want to do a lot of detail with this. We have 3 forms of roofing: steel roofing, shingle roofing that's to be changed over to metal roof when we can afford it, and natural windows and Veta doors as well to the inside of the house. We have, this is the Claire story. I don't want to go through this, I'm running out of time. But this is the installation of the windows. We have smart electrical here. Everything's in BX wiring. We have, the panels are remote, and we have a kill switch for the bedroom. We had a blower door test, which wasn't too satisfactory. We had a couple of cracks, and I know exactly what they were. We weren't able to rectify them. This is one attempt at sealing up some of that, which didn't work as well. So the lowest we could go was 1.3 in the air changes per hour. So it's not as good as we would want. So the rest of this is we have one ERV that's doing the air changes on the house. And we have a lot of learnings. I have pages of learnings, and I just like put some of them up here. The cockle oven is very efficient. We really like that. That's the centerpiece of our house. So these are the future projects that we have. We added another couple of doors there. We have some other work that we'd like to do in the future in terms of providing some heat. The main thing that we have with the house, and I can talk about this later, is that we go into a house that's cold. We have baseboard heaters that basically take it up to 10 degrees, and then we go up from there with the other part of it. So back to my house and my office. So I have my office, and then we have some credits here, certainly to Evolve Builders and also to some of the other builders as well, and some of the photos that I've acknowledged here as well. So this is where we're at, and we're very much enjoying this house and being in this community as well for as long as we can. So that's my talk.